What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, August 8th. Wednesday went pretty well. We didn't get off to the best start, guys. We had Cleveland plus 118. They ended up losing that one 7-3, despite the Guardians out hitting Arizona in that game in terms of, total hits. So that's a little bit annoying. We had Oakland minus 115. They ended up winning only by a single run there in that game. They wasted a great start from Estes, or, wasted it in our opinion. Things got back on track quick after that, though, guys. We had the Yankees minus 1.5 in game one of their doubleheader there. Very solid outing from Gill, and the Yankees won that one 5-2. So put that one on the board. We also had the Padres minus 138. That was another win. It was a crazy 9-8 game, but with the Padres coming out on top, we don't really care how they got there, guys. We just care that they got there. So another win there. We also had the Orioles at minus 144. That was a 7-3 win. We saw a 2-run home run from Jackson Holliday, who is very much enjoying being back up with the big league team this time around. And we finished things off strong, guys. We had Detroit plus 120. They got a very convincing 6-2 win there behind 7 good innings from Skubal and 3 insurance runs there in the 9th inning to, take any sweat out of that game. So 4-2 overall with a big underdog mixed in there. We will certainly take that. Let's get back after it and find some value on this slightly shorter Thursday slate. Before we jump into the games for today, just a heads up, guys, I'm going to be traveling to Scotland from August 12th to the 20th, but don't worry, we're still going to be having content every single day. There will be a new NFL video every single day with our week 1 first looks and our season outlook for every single team, and I will be posting my favorite MLB picks for each day in the pinned comments on those videos and also in the community posts. Any questions about this, please let me know down in the comments. Also, take a second and hit that like button, guys. It's a thank you for all the free content, and it only takes 1 second. If you like these videos, go ahead and join our community by subscribing so you don't miss out on our daily content. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a solid win there in game 3 of this series. They won that one 7-4. They're up to 58-58 on the year, so right there at 500. They'll take that, but man, they've got work to do here if they want to make it into the playoffs. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Kyle Harrison, who comes into this game fresh off a pretty bad start, guys. I mean, over the course of the season, his numbers aren't terrible. 6-5 on the year with a 4.09 ERA, but his last time out, 3 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs, and 4 home runs, pitching at the Great American Ballpark against the Cincinnati Reds. So not exactly what he had in mind in that one. Before that, he looked very good over 3 starts. 2 of them were against the Rockies, so not super impressive there. He had a rocky start against Cleveland back in the beginning of July, but this is somebody that we felt decent about this season. He's only 22 years old, so you've got to expect some inconsistency. He does have 1 start this year against the Nationals. That was back on the 9th of April, so pretty long ago. It was an okay start, nothing amazing, nothing terrible, but we'll see what we get out of him in this game. Definitely a bounce back situation for him. In terms of their bullpen, the Giants have not been great this year, guys. A 4.26 ERA coming out of the pen is not ideal. Definitely down in the bottom half of the majors, so something they'd love to improve as the season goes on, but that really has not been their reality. In terms of their offense, they're swinging some pretty hot bats, guys. I mean, 7, 5, 4, 8, 4, and 3 runs respectively over their last several games. We see Chapman hitting the ball well. He just had 3 hits, including a home run in his last game, so he's swinging a pretty hot bat, and just in general, this team's playing well right now. I mean, 14th in the majors in runs scored and 14th in the majors, batting .244 as a team. Isn't really anything to write home about, but it's decent production, and I think they'll take that right now, especially against this opponent. Speaking of that opponent, guys, it's the Washington Nationals. They come into this game 52-63 on the season. They've been playing okay over their last few games. They've won 3 out of their last 5, but yeah, they're going to have to do an awful lot better than that if they're trying to make some sort of playoff push here in the late part of the season. Not really looking like that's going to be the reality. They're handing the ball to DJ Hers in this game. This young 23-year-old, guys, he's 2-4 on the season with a 4.27 ERA. His last start was against the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was a very, very good one. 5 innings, 2 hits, only a single run allowed, and it was not even an earned run. Honestly, all of his last 3 starts have been very good. He did have a bad start against the Cardinals back on July 7th, but other than that, the dude's been throwing the ball pretty well recently. And like I said, a young guy, not expecting him to be super consistent every time out there. We are a little bit worried about the Nationals bullpen, guys. A 4.33 bullpen ERA is not exactly ideal. Has them somewhere around 26th in the majors, so that's not exactly killing it. And their offense, it has their moments still, guys, but this just really is an offense that I trust. They've scored 4, 11, 1, 4, and 6 runs respectively over their last several games, which is honestly pretty hot hitting for a team that is ranked 16th in the majors in runs scored and 25th in the majors in slugging percentage, guys. Just not a lot of great power numbers coming out of this team, which is a little bit concerning. Generally speaking, I don't think we're, like super duper low on them, but just not really an offense that I feel like I can trust. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Giants at minus 120. We've got the Nationals at plus 110. We've got over-under showing out there of 8.5 or 9. The Giants are 25 and 34 on the road, so not a very good road team. Washington is only 26 and 30 at home, so not the best home team either. In terms of the over-under, we do see some interesting trends, guys. The Giants are 34, 23, and 2 to the over when playing on the road. That's a pretty solid trend there. Washington only 27, 26, and 3 to the over at home, but hey, it's a small trend, and we've got over-under numbers out there still. You can find some 8.5. So generally speaking, this game, guys, I think the best value is that over 8.5. I think we're going to see a good amount of offense. We've got two very, very young and inexperienced pitchers on the mound, and two offenses that aren't swinging cold bats. So yeah, go ahead and give me over 8.5. Is this going in the pinned comment? I don't know yet. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of winning the first 2 games of this series at Atlanta. They've got to feel great about that. They're 64 and 49 on the season with a 6-game cushion there in the NL Central. They're hitting the ball in this one to Frankie Montas, a guy they brought in to help bolster that starting rotation. He's 5 and 8 on the season with a 5.03 ERA. His first start there for the Brewers went okay, I guess, at the Nationals back on August 2nd, guys. 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 earned runs allowed. He had 5 strikeouts and 0 walks, and that's nice. And Milwaukee won that game 8-3, so that's nice as well. But we've got some concerns about him in this start, guys. The last time he faced Atlanta, he went 4 1/3 innings, and this is all back on July 24th, guys, so not very long ago. 4 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 4 earned runs. He struck out 6 and walked 3, so he did some positive things, and that was a game that, we saw his team come out. The Reds came out on the, right side of that one, winning 9-4, but yeah, was that Frankie Montas' fault? I would say no. So we'll see what we get out of him in this game going up against Atlanta. We'll also see what we get out of that Brewers bullpen. Definitely trust their bullpen more than their starting pitching, guys. A 3.28 ERA coming out of the pen. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. They've been one of the best 2 bullpens in the major leagues all season long. So feel good about the bullpen. We feel great about how they're swinging the bats right now, guys. 8 and 10 runs respectively over their last 2 games will absolutely work. It was very shocking to see Chris Sale get knocked around in that game, but credit to the Brewers hitters, guys. They got it done in that one. This offense seems like it's kind of turning things around, maybe figuring out life here without Yelich. They're 10th in the majors in runs scored, 6th in the majors in batting average, batting .255 as a team. So definitely good news for the Brewers there. They need this offense to work out. They need this offense to be very, very good if they're going to find wins, because their rotation has not been great. Their starting rotation, I mean. Their bullpen has been very, very good. They're taking on the Atlanta Braves in this game, who have to be very disappointed to have now lost 4 in a row and see Sale not have a very good outing. They're hitting the ball in this one to Charlie Morton, who's 6 and 6 on the season with a 3.94 ERA. His last start, guys, was a bounce back, and it was a good one. He went up against the Marlins, obviously not the toughest hitting team, but 6 innings, 5 hits, only a single unearned run allowed in that one. Struck out 6 and walked 2 in a game we eventually saw Atlanta win 4-2. So very good stuff out there from Charlie Morton in his last start. So kind of expecting a little bit more of the same from him in this one. He's going up against a Brewers team that he has not faced this year, so we'll see how he can do. We'll also see what we get from that Atlanta bullpen, guys. They've been very, very good all season long. Yeah, tops, almost tops in the majors. The only bullpen better than them is the Cleveland Guardians. A 2.98 ERA coming out of the pen for Atlanta. Definitely a premium outfit out there. The offense just has not been showing up recently, guys, and that puts a crazy amount of pressure on the pitching staff. They scored 5, 0, 0, and 3 runs respectively over their last 4 games. This is not that bad of an offense, guys. I mean, we've seen Ozuna have a little bit of trouble lately, and this team just leans on him very, very hard for their offensive production. If he's having a slump, this team pretty much just is going to be having a slump. They're down to 19th in the majors in batting average, 25th in the majors in runs scored. They are still 12th in the majors in slugging percentage, so, some decent power numbers there. But at 60 and 53 on the year, they're 7 games back of Philadelphia, and they've got work to do. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Brewers at plus 130, the Braves at minus 145. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. Milwaukee is 33 and 28 on the road. Atlanta is 32 and 25 at home, so pretty good home numbers, not terrible road numbers either though. In terms of the over-under, we've got mixed trends. Milwaukee's a slight over team on the road, with Atlanta being a huge under team at home. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game, guys. That seems very, very high to me, especially with Atlanta swinging some pretty cold bats. We have seen at least 10 runs in each of the first 2 games of the series, so I think this could be one where we don't see very much offense. I'm expecting good stuff from Morton. Montas wasn't terrible in his last game, and that Brewers bullpen is good. So, yeah, guys, give me under 9 in this one. I also think you could take a look at the Braves minus 145, but that's a little bit expensive for a team that's not swinging the bats well right now. So I think the value in this game is actually that under 9. Next on the docket, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We saw the Padres come away with a crazy 9-8 game winner in that 10-inning game they played yesterday, guys. They've now won 4 in a row. They've won the first 2 games of this series, so thank you, Padres, for coming through for us in that one. They're up to 63 and 52 on the year. Handing the ball in this one to Randy Vasquez, who's 3-6 this season with a 4.26 ERA. His last start was a nice bounce back, guys, after a rough one at Baltimore where he got shelled. He had a good start against Colorado. 5 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run allowed in that game. He had 4 strikeouts. Unfortunately for him, it was a game we saw the Padres eventually lose 5-2, but it wasn't his fault. He looked pretty good out there, so we'll definitely take that kind of performance out of him. I don't think this is a guy that we're super high on as like a premium level MLB starting pitcher, but generally speaking, he looked good in his last outing. I think we'd expect to see him look decent maybe in this one, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. He has not gone up against the Pirates yet this season. In terms of their bullpen, things have really turned around for the Padres, guys. A 4.01 bullpen ERA is much, much better than they were dealing with early in the season, so that's got to feel very good for their fans and just for this franchise in general. The bats have really come back alive. That's what has propelled this team up the standings. They're only 3.5 games back there in the NL West. They're killing it right now. They scored 9, 6, 10, 3, 2, and 8 runs respectively over their last several games. We saw Profar take a very, very tough shot to the lower leg there. I mean, yeah, that looked real bad. The x-rays were negative, so maybe he'll be okay, but I don't know how he's going to be able to stand on that and run on that and like plant his front foot and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's a decent chance we could see him sit out at least 1 game here. And when any team is without their best hitter, which looks like he's pretty much their best hitter at this point, guys, it's gonna be a tough blow for the team to swallow. So we'll see if we actually have him out there on the field in this game. Definitely keep your eyes peeled for that injury report, but I think there's a definite chance he could either miss this game or be kind of ineffective out there. So that could be a problem for what has been a very, very hot offense. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Pirates, who come into this one losers of 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6 overall to fall to 56 and 57 on the year. They're hitting the ball in this one to Luis Ortiz, who comes into this game fresh off a couple of questionable starts, guys. He made the transition from bullpen guy to starter and was looking amazing there for several outings in a row, but the last couple, both against the Arizona Diamondbacks, I will note, he had a little bit of a tough time, and going up against the Diamondbacks twice in a row is pretty tough. They're one of the best offensive teams in the majors. Ortiz has not gone up against the Padres yet this season, so we don't exactly know what to expect from him. I do think there's a decent chance we get some sort of bounce back game from him, unless he's just like dealing with arm fatigue, but I don't really think that seems like the case in this situation. I mean, 2 starts against Arizona is pretty tough stuff. We are a little bit worried about that Pirates bullpen, guys. Yeah, 25th in majors, a 4.41 ERA coming out of the pen. Does not really fill me with lots of optimism, and they haven't been having a great time lately, so definitely some concerns there. We're also a little bit worried about the Pirates offense, guys. I mean, they are coming off of a game where they scored 8 runs. Don't get me wrong, but 8, 0, 5, 4, 8, like they're hitting the ball well. I guess I got to give them some credit, but it just never feels like this is a very good offensive team, guys. Despite the fact they're up to 22nd in the majors in runs scored, they're still 28th in slugging percentage and 25th in batting average. Like a lot of their production has to come out of Brian Reynolds for this team to have success. And I mean, the dude's doing what he can out there. His last game was an 0 for 4 situation with 3 strikeouts, so that wasn't great, but in my opinion, that kind of leaves him in bounce back territory. So we'll see what we get out of him. We'll see what we get out of this Pirates offense, guys. Looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Padres at minus 102, the Pirates at minus 110. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Padres are 32 and 23 on the road, so very solid there. Pittsburgh is only 27 and 30 at home, so that's not a great look. Guys, in terms of the side, I really am leaning towards the Pirates minus 110. I know their bullpen sucks, and I know Ortiz has had some question marks his last couple of outings, but I'm not very high on Randy Vasquez out there for the Padres, and with the Pirates looking to just, like get 1 win here in this series, I think they've got a decent shot out there, and I do like their spot in the pitching situation, and yeah, just generally speaking, this is a Pirates lean for me. In terms of the over-under, we've got both teams showing trends towards the under. They're not big trends, but they're notable. I say take maybe a little little look at under 8.5 and a little look at the Pirates -110. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a 5-3 win there at Colorado in Game 2 of this series. We saw Lindor break up a tie there with a 2-run single in the 9th inning, so some clutch late game hitting there. The Mets are 60-54 on the season, handing the ball to David Peterson in this game, who's been lights out this season, 5-1 on the year with a 3.47 ERA. His last start was at the Angels and it was a very good one. 6 innings, 5 hits, only 2 earned runs allowed. A bounce back after a little bit of a rough start against Atlanta, but generally speaking, we've been very happy with what we've seen from Peterson this season. He has not taken on the Rockies yet this year, but that shouldn't be too tough of a test for him. I mean, they haven't been a great hitting team this year. Generally speaking, how do we feel about the Mets bullpen? I mean, they've been trending in a good direction for a while now, guys. A 4.03 ERA coming out of the pen, while obviously not a number that jumps off the page, is serviceable, and it's been improving over the course of the season. So give them some credit out there for that. Absolutely no doubt about it. In terms of the offense, it's been a little tough lately, guys. 5, 3, 6, 2, and 4 runs respectively over their last several games. Obviously, it took some late game heroics for them to get the job done here in Game 2 of this series. So yeah, a little bit worried about the bats here for the Mets. I mean, they've been pretty much a top 10 offense the majority of the season, and definitely ever since hitting their stride there in the middle of the season. So 8th in the majors in runs scored, 8th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is an offense that needs to get back on track. Will they be able to do it in this game? Well, they're going up against the Rockies, who come into this one losers of 3 out of their last 4. They're 42-73 on the year, so not having a great time at all. They're handing the ball to Austin Gomber, who's 3-7 on this season with a 4.66 ERA. His last start, guys, was at San Diego. He was pretty solid out there. 7 innings, 5 hits, only 2 earned runs allowed. It was a game we saw the Rockies eventually win 5-2, so credit to him for that one. He looked pretty good out there. The Rockies are actually 3-2 over his last 5 starts, so more good stuff to add to the pile there. He's been one of the better starters for the Rockies this year. It's got to be tough going out there for a team that, isn't exactly headed in a great direction, but he's been doing his best to keep himself sharp and put his team in positions to win. In terms of their bullpen, though, guys, that is a huge issue. The Rockies bullpen, a 5.57 ERA over the course of the season. They are absolutely atrocious. No doubt about it. Not a bullpen that you can trust at all. Basically the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball. In terms of their offensive numbers, guys, they've scored 3, 6, 2, 2, 5, and 5 runs respectively over their last several games. They're 18th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in batting average. I do think those numbers are inflated by getting to play at Coors Field, but hey, this game's at Coors Field, so we should see the best version here of the Rockies offense, but is it an offense that scares me? Not really, and not in this matchup. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Mets at -150, the Rockies at +136. That pretty much makes sense to me. We've got an over-under in this game of 11, though, guys. That is a big number. I understand that it's summertime, and this is at Coors Field, but neither one of these teams have been hitting the ball great recently. So looking at the numbers for the trends for this one, we've got the Mets, they're 28-25 on the road. The Rockies are 25-27 at home. I do think this is an okay spot for the Mets. -150 doesn't really get me going. Taking the Rockies +136 at home with Gomber on the mound also doesn't seem like a terrible spot, but guys, I do like under 11 in this game. I mean, we see the Mets, they're a slight over team, maybe even a significant over team on the road, but they are not swinging the hottest bats right now. The Rockies are 27-24-1 to the under at home, so kind of crazy that they've been an under team at home this season. That's kind of an indictment of their offense, and maybe even a little bit of credit to how they pitch when they're pitching at home. So generally speaking, guys, give me under 11 in this game. It actually has a shot to end up in the pinned comment, as weird as betting an under at Coors Field in August feels. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. This is going to be Game 4 of this series. We did see the Reds take the 6-4 loss in Game 3. They won the first 2 games of the series very handily, though. They're 55-59 in the year, so still a lot of work to do. They're handing the ball in this one to Hunter Green, who's 8-4 this season with a 2.83 ERA. His last start, guys, he was lights out against the Giants. The dude has not given up an earned run over any of his last 3 starts. That starts against the Giants, at the Rays, and at the Atlanta Braves. Has not given up a run since the All-Star break. Crazy stuff out there from Hunter Green. Young guy, he's looking like a monster out there. Last start, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, no runs. Start for that at Tampa Bay, 7 innings, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. Like, he has been nuts lately. So lots of credit to Hunter Green. Also some credit to this Reds bullpen, guys. They've maybe had a little bit of regression lately, which kind of seems normal. I mean, 3.65 bullpen ERA, though, is nothing to turn your nose up at, so they'll certainly take that. The question for this team is, when is the offense going to show up? And it showed up in the first 2 games of the series, no doubt about it. Game 3, though, only 4 runs, maybe not the most ideal stuff. They did give up a grand slam in that game, so, they did have their chances there to win this game if they could have got out of that first inning. But generally speaking, how do we feel about their offense? Ellie De La Cruz is leading the way. He's been hitting the ball much better here lately. They are 15th in the majors in runs scored, but still 28th in the majors and 23rd in the majors, respectively, in batting average and on base percentage. So definitely lots of room for improvement on this offense, but I'm not going to say they're not swinging the bats okay right now. They're taking on the Marlins, who come into this game winners of 3 out of their last 5. They're 43 and 72 on the year, so nothing really important to play for. They're handing the ball to Kyle Tyler in this game. He's 0-2 on the season with a 5.27 ERA. His last outing, guys, he only went 2 2/3 innings against Atlanta. 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Not really a premium outing. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, and he hasn't gone deeper into a game than 4 2/3 innings over any of them. So yeah, not exactly a guy that I have tons of faith in. In terms of their bullpen, though, I've got to give the Marlins some credit, guys. A 3.72 bullpen ERA has them above average in the majors. Does that scare me? Does that make me think that, they're going to be winning some games based on that bullpen? Not exactly, but it does give them some, optimism there late in games. We'll see what we actually get out of them in this game. We'll also see what we get out of that offense, guys. I don't think we're going to see Derek Hill hit another grand slam. I don't think we're going to see Jake Berger hit 2 home runs again. I think this offense is due for a little bit of regression. They've scored 6, 2, 3, 7, and 4 runs respectively over their last several games. There's a reason this team is 29th in the majors in runs scored this season and 29th in the majors in slugging percentage. So yeah, not a lot of amazing things to say about this offense. There are some positive things to say about their pitching staff, no doubt about that, but overall, not an offense that I'm super high on. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we got the Reds at -190, the Marlins at +165. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Cincinnati's 27 and 28 on the road. Miami is 23 and 36 at home. So yeah, not the best home team. We also see the Marlins are a huge over team at home, guys. They are an MLB best 41, 16, and 2 to the over when playing at home. So if you wanted to just ride that trend and take over 7.5, I guess I couldn't argue with you too much, but that's not a spot that I love. I do think it's worth taking a look here at the Reds -1.5 in this game. It seems pretty clear that if they're going to win games in this series, they're going to win them comfortably. And yeah, take them at -1.5 with Hunter Green on the mound. You can get him at -110, and that seems like a fairly appealing bounce back spot to me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. We saw the Angels and Yankees split a doubleheader yesterday, guys, and hey, we'll definitely take it. We were on the Yankees -1.5 in game 1 of that series, and they won it comfortably. So on to game 3 here now. We've got the Angels coming to this one 50 and 64 on the year. They won 8-2 in game 2 of that doubleheader. They're going to be handing the ball to Tyler Anderson, who's 8 and 10 this season with a 3.05 ERA. His last start was a mediocre one against the Mets, guys. 5 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. Honestly, his last couple of starts haven't looked great, and we've seen the Angels lose both of those starts against Oakland and against the Mets. So yeah, maybe not the greatest stuff that we're seeing from Tyler Anderson right now. Back in May, he went up against the Yankees and had a good 5-inning start in a game that we eventually saw the Angels lose 2-1. But yeah, nothing too much more he could have done in that one. He looked very, very good. It's kind of old history at this point, but we'll give him a little bit of credit for having a positive outing against the Yankees under his belt. In terms of their bullpen, guys, how do we feel about the Angels? Well, they're not very good. They're somewhere around 23rd in the majors with a 4.27 bullpen ERA. Not really a bullpen that you can trust very far into games, and yeah, just not a great pen, guys. Not great at all. Definitely major concerns for whenever Tyler Anderson has to come out of this game. We're also a little bit worried about this offense. I mean, they did go off for 8 runs in game 2 of that doubleheader, so definitely give them some credit there. Neto, grand slam there. Yeah, that'll definitely help boost your offensive numbers, but over the course of the year, guys, 26th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only getting on base at a 304 clip. This is just not a team that I'm very scared of at the plate, and I don't really think the Yankees will be either. They come into this game definitely needing all the wins they can get, tied with Baltimore there atop the AL East. They're 68 and 47 on the year, handing the ball to Nestor Cortez, who's 5 and 9 on the season with a 4.16 ERA. He's coming off of a decent start against the Phillies, 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, and 3 earned runs. That's not bad stuff for Nestor Cortez, guys. He's not one of the Yankees' better starters. He's had his ups and downs this season, no doubt about it. The last time he faced the Angels, though, it was back on May 28th, and he had a pretty good outing. 5 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 1 home run, 4 strikeouts, no walks. In a game we eventually saw the Yankees lose 4-3. So, not terrible stuff there. He kept his team in the game, no doubt about that. They're going to need a decent start from him, though, after a doubleheader. I would assume the bullpen's got to be a little bit shot out at this point, but the Yankees bullpen has been good this season. A 3.50 ERA coming out of the pen is very, very nice. Nothing wrong with that. How do we feel about the Yankees bats right now? I mean, they're coming off a game where they scored 2 runs and a game they scored 5 runs. They haven't been swinging the hottest bats lately, to be honest. I mean, we're still waiting for this team to get back back to full strength. We don't know when Anthony Rizzo is going to be back, but once he comes back, I do think we could see this team go on a little bit of a tear here. The dude definitely helps. Just every better hitter you add into a lineup like this for the Yankees just will help exponentially. So we'll see what they look like when he comes back. We don't necessarily think he's going to be back for this game, though. There's been literally zero reason to think that. In terms of their hitting otherwise, though, guys, we saw several Yankees maybe not have their best day there against the Angels. I mean, they did only score 2 runs on 9 hits in the second game of that doubleheader, so maybe some fatigue kicked in. I do think we'll see them do a little bit better in this one, albeit against a better pitcher. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Angels at plus 225, the Yankees at minus 260. We got an over-under of 9 in this game. That's a little interesting, guys. The Angels 24-29 on the road, the Yankees 30-25 at home. In terms of the side in this game, guys, at that kind of price, I honestly think it's worth taking a flyer on the Angels plus 225. Is that going to go in the pinned comment? I don't really think so, but I do have some faith in Tyler Anderson in this spot and not nearly as much faith in Nestor Cortez. We've also got the over-under to look at in this one, guys. The Yankees are 30-24-1 to the over at home. The Angels are a 500 over-under team when playing on the road. We got 2 pitchers in here that I don't necessarily have the most faith in. So, yeah, I could see an overplay in this game as well. I think the value is probably on the Angels plus 225, but this is not a spot where I think the Angels are going to win all the time, just a little bit more often than the numbers would indicate. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Orioles coming into this game fresh off of a 7-3 win there in game 2 of this series. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Dean Kremer, and they need him to have a good start, guys, because they are tied with the Yankees there atop the AL East. Kremer comes into this game only 4-8 on the season with a 4.39 ERA. Not exactly throwing the ball great either, coming off a bad start at Cleveland where he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. His start before that against the Padres, also not great. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs allowed in that game. And yeah, just not somebody that I'm super juiced on for the Orioles here. I mean, he hasn't had that good of a season. He did get off to a decent start, so we'll give him some credit there. But yeah, just not necessarily one of my favorite starting pitchers there for the Baltimore Orioles. So we'll see what we get from Kremer, see how deep he can go into the game, which is kind of important as an Orioles starter right now, guys, because the bullpen has been having a rough time. They're down to a 4.07 bullpen ERA. That is not great. That's definitely in the bottom half of the majors. So yeah, we'll see what happens when the bullpen eventually comes into this game, but not really expecting miracles out there. And a lot falls on the shoulders of this Orioles offense, which they looked really good yesterday. We saw Jackson Holliday hit a 2-run home run there to, help him kind of put this one away. A 7-3 win there will definitely work, but can we trust these power numbers to keep on going? I don't know, guys. It seems a little bit suspect to expect that in this game as well, but we'll see what they can do out there. They are 3rd in the majors in runs scored and holding on to that top spot there in slugging percentage. No shade here for me, guys. This is clearly an awesome offensive team. It's just, are they going to be able to hit more home runs in this game? We'll have to see how they do here going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, who obviously coming into this game fresh off of that loss. They're 52-62 on the year, so not headed anywhere important. They're handing the ball in this one to Kevin Gausman, who's 9-8 this season with a 4.56 ERA. He's coming off a questionable start against the Yankees, guys. 4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them were earned. He gave up 2 home runs in that outing, so that's not a great sign. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts. He did have a complete game start there against the Rangers, so that was cool, but yeah, he hasn't really looked amazing since that. In his first start since that start, he didn't look great, so yeah, we're a little bit concerned about him. The last time he went up against the Orioles, guys, he did not have a good time. 6 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, and 3 home runs allowed. I mean, that was back in June, so kind of a while ago, but not that long ago. So definitely worried about him out there. Also very worried about that Toronto bullpen, guys. A 5.00 ERA coming out of the pen. That's a disaster, guys. This is one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, down there with the likes of the White Sox and the Colorado Rockies. So very concerned about this bullpen. The offense, though, they're putting up some runs, guys. I mean, they've scored 3, 5, 3, 3, and 8 runs, respectively, over their last several games. We see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting the ball well. This team is 22nd in the majors in runs scored and 18th in the majors in batting average. So, not the worst numbers out there. Obviously not the best, but they're going up against a guy that, they can't be too scared to hit against Dean Kremer, I wouldn't think. So, expecting some decent stuff from this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles at minus 115, the Blue Jays at plus 102. We've got an over-under of 9 in this one. Baltimore is 34-22 on the road, so despite Kremer being on the mound, I could understand why people would want to side with the Orioles. Toronto's 27-29 at home, so not amazing. We're not too high on how Gausman is looking right now, so taking the Blue Jays plus 102, not very appealing. We've got some trends towards the over-under, though, guys. We've got Baltimore. They are 35-18-3 to the over when playing on the road. We've got Toronto. Also, that is an MLB best number to the over on the road, by the way. We also have Toronto at 32, 23, and 1 to the over at home. Guys, with an over-under of only 9, if it was 9.5, maybe that would scare me away, but an over-under of only 9, I definitely like the over 9. That's for sure going in the pinned comment. We've got the Orioles hitting the ball pretty well coming into this game, and they're going up against a guy they've hit well against earlier this season and who is struggling at the moment. Give me over 9. I think there's a chance Baltimore could get to that all on their own, and I don't think they'll have to. With Kremer on the mound, they're going to give up some runs. Next up, guys, we look at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Rays come into this game fresh off of losing the first 2 games of this series. They lost 4-3 and 5-2, so not having a great time at Busch Stadium. They are 57 and 56 on the year, handing the ball in this one to young Shane Baz, who's 0-1 this season with a 3.60 ERA. Gotta say, guys, his last 3 starts have all been very, very good. A decent but short start against the Yankees where he didn't give up a run over 3 1/3 innings. Despite walking 5 hitters, he also had a good outing against the Cincinnati Reds in a game we eventually saw the Rays lose 3-2 in extra innings. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs in that game while striking out 7. And his last time out was at the Houston Astros, guys. 5 1/3 innings, only 2 earned runs allowed in that game as well. He also struck out 5, so pretty good stuff from this young guy. I mean, yeah, it's been a little bit tough out there. It's tough pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. Despite their record, they just don't feel like a very good team. So yeah, we'll see what Baz can do out there in this one. I'm expecting decent stuff from him, not gonna lie. It's not like the Cardinals are the hardest hitting opponent. So yeah, expecting good stuff from Shane Baz. What do I expect from that Tampa Bay bullpen? Well, they're pretty middle of the pack, guys. A 4.03 ERA coming out of the pen, while not a complete disaster, is not amazing. So yeah, we'll see what they get in this game, but I'm not expecting miracles. I'm also not expecting miracles at the plate from a team that scored 2, 3, 1, 6, and 2 runs respectively over their last several games. Yeah, just not a lot of guys that they're running out there are ones that I expect to be, like super plus level hitters. There's a reason this team is 28th in the majors in runs scored. They are 24th in the majors, batting only .234 as a team on the season. Like, just not a very good hitting team. They're not running a lot of sluggers up there, not a lot of power numbers. I mean, 26th in the majors in slugging percentage, a number that's been very low for them all year long. So definitely concerned about the Tampa Bay Rays in general and concerned about them in this game. They're taking on the Cardinals, who come into this one winners of 3 out of their last 5 overall. 6 games back of the Brewers there in the NL Central. They definitely have to be locked in, trying to get every single win they can here. They're handing the ball to Kyle Gibson in this game, who's 7-4 this season with a 4.04 ERA. His last start was not a great one against the Cubs, guys. 7 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs allowed. I mean, 7 innings is great. It was a game we saw the Cardinals win 5-4, so that's cool and all, but yeah, maybe not his most dominant stuff against a pretty weak hitting Cubs team. Over his last 3 starts, he has been better than generally he has been this season. I mean, a good start at Atlanta, a good start against the Nationals. The Cardinals did not find success in those games, but at least he was putting them in positions where they could theoretically win. Generally speaking, Kyle Gibson's not a starter that I'm super high on, but it does seem like he's throwing the ball slightly better here recently. The Cardinals bullpen, while it's not at the, like dizzying heights that it achieved there for a while, is still sporting a 3.62 ERA, so that's not bad, and they've looked good so far in this series, so definitely have to give them credit where credit is due. The Cardinals bats have woken up a little bit to score 5 and 4 runs respectively over the first 2 games of the series after getting shut out 6-0 in that one little game there against the Mets. Still not an offense that I'm super high on, but we saw Arenado and Burleson both look good there in game 3 of this series, so got to give some credit to this offense, but there's a reason they're sitting in 21st in the majors in runs scored and 19th in the majors in slugging percentage. Yeah, I know those numbers are trending in a positive direction, but this just is an offense that I feel like I can trust. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we got the Rays at +112, the Cardinals at -125. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Tampa Bay is 27-27 on the road. The Cardinals are 30-26 at home. We've got mixed trends towards the over-under, and with an over-under of 8 in this game, I'm not super interested in that. Generally speaking, I do think this is a decent spot for the Tampa Bay Rays at +112 with a good starter on the mound. We just don't know what we're going to get from Kyle Gibson. I don't really know what to expect in this game in general, so it's probably going to be a stay-away spot for me with a slight lean towards the Rays. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of a solid 6-2 win there in Game 2 of this series. They've now won the first 2 games of this series, so that has to feel pretty good. At 55-60 on the year, they've got a lot of work to do, though, and I don't really think that's the direction this franchise/team in general is heading. We do not have a confirmed starter for the Tigers as of right now, guys, and overall, I mean, when Scooball's not on the mound, how high are we on this, starting pitching rotation now? They were sellers at the trade deadline, so maybe not super stoked about whoever they're going to end up on the mound in this game. If it ends up being a bullpen start, we're concerned about that, guys. The Tigers, a 4.22 ERA coming out of the pen this season is not exactly what they were hoping for, so yeah. a sketchy situation for the Pirates pitching staff in this game, no doubt about that. In terms of their offense, guys, they have scored 10 combined runs over the first 2 games of the series, which against a team like Seattle and at Seattle, that's not bad at all. They'll definitely take that. They're still missing Riley Green. His return could be imminent, but I don't really have any indication that he's going to be back for this game, and that would be a big boost for an offense that hasn't been great this season. Although they've been better recently, they're still only getting on base at a 295 clip. That's not great. They're still only batting 230 as a team, so overall, not an offense that I'm super high on, and they're going up against a tough opponent in this one. I mean, the Mariners do come into this game losers of 3 in a row, so they've got to be pretty desperate at this point, a half game back there of Houston in the AL West. They're handing the ball to Bryan Woo, who's 5-1 this season with a 2.08 ERA. His last start, guys, seems like he's back on track. 7 innings, 5 hits, 0 runs allowed, 0 walks, and 6 strikeouts there against the Phillies. So very, very good stuff. We've seen him look good over 4 out of his last 5 outings. And yeah, things seem like they are back on track here for Bryan Woo. He did have that weird start at the Angels where he didn't do very well, but he's back at home for this one and looking good out there. We are a little bit worried about him coming off of an extended start, but other than that, this 24-year-old looking pretty lights out. And yeah, guys, I mean, the Mariners bullpen hasn't been terrible this season either. They've had a few issues lately. A 3.85 ERA coming out of the pen is not the best we've seen from them this season, but generally speaking, not a bullpen that we're too worried about. The offense, though, we are worried about, guys. It looked like after they made those moves, all of a sudden things were going to immediately turn around for this offense, but they've scored a grand total of 4 runs combined over their last 3 games. Right back there in the dumps, guys. This team has been bad at the plate all season long. It doesn't seem like those new additions are going to completely change that, so definitely worried about their offense in this game. With an over-under of 7, it seems like the odds makers are also worried about that offense. In terms of the numbers for the side, though, guys, we got the Tigers at plus 172, the Mariners at minus 205. Detroit is 28-29 on the road. Seattle is 33-25 at home. In terms of the over-under trends, guys, Detroit's a significant over team on the road. Seattle is a huge under team. They're the MLB best under team at home, going 37-19-2 to the under when playing at their home field. So I don't know, guys. This game doesn't leave a ton of room for for its solid leans here. I mean, we don't have a confirmed starter for the Tigers yet. In general, with an over/under of only 7, I do think there's some reason to take the over. I think we could see the Mariners bats come alive in this one a little bit. And while Woo has been good recently, he's coming off of an extended start, so there's reason to think he might struggle. I'm not interested in the Mariners minus 205. That's way too big of a number, and I can't really give you a lean on the Tigers in this one because I don't know who they're starting. So kind of a wait and see spot in this one. Make sure you check that pinned comment, but overall, maybe just a lean towards the over. Last but not least, guys, we got the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there against the Dodgers. That has to feel pretty great. They're 68-46 on the season. They are cruising along there in the top spot in the NL East. They're hitting the ball in this one to Colby Allard. He comes into this game. I mean, yeah, he's had 1 start this season and 1 appearance out of the bullpen. Both of those outings, he went 4 innings in each one of them. His last one at Seattle was pretty solid, guys. He only gave up 1 earned run over 4 innings. He gave up 2 hits. So yeah, not great stuff. I mean, he gave up a home run in there. So yeah, this 26-year-old, not somebody that we're super high on necessarily in this spot. And yeah, I mean, how do we feel about the Phillies bullpen? They did some positive things against the Dodgers, but they're still middle of the pack with a 4.02 ERA coming out of the pen. Definitely something that's going to be a problem for the Phillies as they progress into this series. We saw Schwarber really hit the crap out of the ball recently, and the offense is definitely a weight, guys. 9, 6, 3, 6, and 5 runs respectively over their last several games. Seems like they're back on track. They're still top 10 in all the major categories. Like, this is an elite hitting team, no doubt about it. And they're going to need to score some runs here going up against a team like the Diamondbacks, who come into this one winners of 4 in a row. They just swept the Cleveland Guardians, so that has to feel pretty great. We saw Josh Bell hit 2 home runs in that game. That's pretty nuts. The Diamondbacks are 63-52 on the year. They're just sun running right now, looking nuts. They're only 3 games back there in the NL West. They're hitting the ball in this game to Jordan Montgomery, who's 7-5 this season with a 6.37 ERA. His last time out, though, guys, he did look a little bit better against the Pirates. He only lasted 3 innings, but 3 innings, 1 earned run on 1 hit. It was a solo home run. Definitely a bounce back after a terrible start against the Washington Nationals. But man, you can get away with some bad starts as a Diamondback starter and still end up on, the positive end of a win. So we'll see what he can do out there in this one against a Phillies team that he had a great start at Philadelphia back on the 21st of June. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in a game we saw the Diamondbacks eventually win 5-4. So yeah, he's a dude that, he can throw the ball a little bit. bit we could see him have a little bit of a bounce back or just a continued build here after a decent start at the Pirates. So kind of expecting good stuff from him. The Diamondbacks bullpen has been an issue this season, but they've been getting a little bit better. A 4.26 bullpen ERA, obviously not miraculously good, but the real strength of this team is their offense. They've scored 5, 7, 7, 6, 2, 9, 5, and 17 runs over their last several games, guys. They're second in the majors in runs scored, fourth in the majors, batting .258 as a team. We've got the on-base percentage of .329. That's fifth in the majors. They're the sixth best slugging percentage team in the majors. Like, this team can put up some offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, there are a couple that jump out to me. We got the Phillies at -110. Not too interested in that. We got the Diamondbacks at -104, and I think they've got a very reasonable chance to win this game. I mean, the Diamondbacks are 31-25 at home. They're taking on a Phillies team that's putting a bad starter out there on the mound, and the Phillies are only 28-25 on the road. So yeah, I don't think this is a team with no issues. I definitely think the Diamondbacks are in a good spot here. They could take advantage of the Phillies starter and of their bullpen. And that brings me to my final lean, guys. That is 9.5, the over-under. I think this is a decent over spot as well. The Phillies are a slight over team on the road, and they're clearly swinging some relatively hot bats coming into this game. They're also going up against a starter with some pretty bad numbers, albeit good numbers against the Phillies earlier this season. And then we've got the Diamondbacks, guys. They are an offensive juggernaut. They are 34-21-1 to the over at home. So yeah, guys, I like the Diamondbacks, and I like the over a good amount in this game. One of those is very likely to end up in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.